Hi there everyone, I am MisterBo, and in this video we're going to be talking about Crash Bandicoot 4 and how Toys for Bob need to find a good balance between old and new. Now originally I was going to call this video something along the lines of could nostalgia ruin Crash Bandicoot 4, but I kind of felt that didn't really get the point across that I want to try and make in this video. Now this isn't really a theory or speculation, it's kind of just an observation video and something that I think needs to be done for this game to be good and for people to say, yes, this is the next addition to the Crash franchise, this is what we needed, this is the true Crash Bandicoot 4 that we've been waiting for so long. Before we get into that though, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone. We hit 25,000 subscribers on the channel just the other day. So just a big thank you to everyone who has subbed and supported this channel over the last year. I am of course going to throw this up on screen because believe it or not, it actually works. When I let you guys know that you're not subscribed, you subscribe. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel so you know when my future content goes live. 79.3% of the people who watch my content are not subscribed. That might be you, and if so, then do me a favor and click that subscribe button. It really does help this channel out, helps it grow, and I just super appreciate it. With that out of the way though, let's go over today's topic. So why do we need to strike a balance between old and new when it comes to Crash 4, and what exactly do I mean when it comes to old and new? What is old and what is new? So let's talk about why I think a balance between the two is what this game needs. Now most people love the Insane trilogy. It was a faithful remaster of the original 3 games, Crash 1, Cortex Strikes Back and Warped. And I know a lot of people would be pretty happy with just a game that was like those, just updated slightly. However, most people probably wouldn't be that happy, especially with a full price game. If you booted up the game and you loaded into the first couple of levels and you saw it had like this Wumpa Island kind of theme and the level was very linear, you were just going in a straight line, destroying boxes and making your way to the end, you'd probably kind of feel like this game wasn't really anything new and exciting and it was just more of the same. Where perhaps on the opposite side you load up Crash 4, you get this completely brand new visual style of a level that you've never seen before in any Crash Bandicoot game ever. Maybe the level you're going through is linear to a degree like the originals, but there's no crates anywhere, you're not picking up a mask, there's no Wumpa Fruit, the jump and the controls don't feel like a Crash Bandicoot game. You would be like, what is this? This isn't Crash Bandicoot, this is something new, completely brand new that's just been textured and made to look like Crash Bandicoot. You'd be pretty annoyed. So this is why I feel like we need to have a balance between the two. Add in new features that we haven't seen in a Crash Bandicoot before so it feels innovative, fresh and just modern, and make it feel like you're getting something completely brand new that you maybe haven't experienced before in a Crash Bandicoot, but then at the same time, make it feel familiar. Give us these elements that we know from Crash Bandicoot through either the first original 3 games or through the whole franchise that makes us go, yes, this is the Crash Bandicoot I remember, but it's not just a copy and paste from a game I've played before, it's got something new and fun here. So let's go over some examples of this balance that we've already seen from the revealed trailer and the gameplay. Starting with level design, we know this game is going to have the linear format, it's not an open world game, but we can already see from the gameplay that they are sort of spinning that on its head and making it more than what we saw in the original 3 games. And what I mean by that is, we've seen in multiple levels, you may be going forwards in a straight path. Then from there, you suddenly deviate to the right and you're doing platforming from the side. Then, you maybe switch to another section of the level and you're going forwards again. It's not just a straight linear line forwards or backwards, left or right. There's a great bit in one of the trailers which I think gets the point across really well, and that is when Crash is sliding on this vine. You can see if you pause a section of the level in the background that you were going to get to eventually. The same goes for the pirate level that we saw in the IGN video. When we're sliding along the rope, you can see there's a whole section below you that you haven't even gotten to. You're going to be progressing through levels and then you might get to a section off in the distance where you can see you're going to go there eventually, and then when you get there you'll be able to see where you've come from. I think that's really cool and just kind of adds a little bit more to the normal linear fashion that we've seen in the original 3 games to keep it fresh and to keep it exciting. Now let's stay with the levels and talk about level structure and mechanics. Now through the Crash franchise we've seen a lot of different mechanics be introduced into different games, whether that's riding Polar, Pura or even the Hog and dodging obstacles and enemies, whether that's running away from a boulder or a giant polar bear, there's been a lot. Now sometimes they have been integrated into levels really well, and sometimes they were their own standalone level. For instance, in Crash Warped, riding Pura along the Great Wall of China, that was its own level. Now if they want to bring game mechanics like that back into the game, like we've already seen in the trailer with Crash riding the hoverboard, hopefully they can blend that more into the actual level itself. Have it be where you're platforming, you're playing the level normally, you then find Polar or Pura, or you find the hoverboard, you hop on that, and then you progress through a section of the level, get off and continue. While the odd gimmicky level here and there is fine, I'd like to see these gameplay mechanics be weaved into the normal levels more. Now we have seen that in past games, but not to a big extent. Now if they are bringing mechanics and stuff like that back from the old games, they need to offset that with completely new stuff. And we already know they are with the introduction of masks as well as new way to traverse levels. We know of 3 brand new ways you can traverse through levels. That's sliding along objects, using ropes to swing, and wall running. And just adding these little additions every so often in levels will hopefully make this feel like it's something new that you haven't actually done before in a Crash Bandicoot game. And the same goes for the masks. We know they're integrated into levels. You'll get to a point where the mask will appear, you'll gain the powers of it, whether that's slowing down time or switching gravity, you'll progress through a section of the level and then you'll lose that ability. We don't know if we're going to get like a whole level where you'll just be using that one ability, but hopefully not, because then we start to see a repeat of what we've seen in the past with gimmicky levels. Now another thing I think we need to see a good balance between is the actual look of the levels, the aesthetic. Now we've seen a couple of levels so far that seem familiar, but also not quite. Now we know the game's based around different dimensions and different timelines, so that plays itself really well for how Toys for Bob can take that nostalgic feel, but give it a spin. We've seen a number of themes so far. Firstly, we've seen the pirate level, which has familiar vibes of Insanity Beach, but also brings something new to the table. We've seen the gameplay of the snow levels, which remind us of those levels we first saw introduced in Crash Bandicoot 2, but again with a slightly different twist on it. We've then also seen glimpses of like a Japanese gardens level, which kind of brings us back to that kind of Chinese look we saw in the Great Wall of China, but flipping it on its head. We've then also seen a coral reef level, which takes us back to those underwater levels from Crash 3 Warped, but it looks like this time you're not actually going to be swimming in the levels, they're just going to be normal platforming levels. So again, giving us something we're kind of familiar with from the old games, but putting a spin on it and changing it up so it feels like it's brand new and not just a recycle or a repeat from previous games. It also seems we're going to be getting completely brand new themes. For instance, we see in the trailer there looks to be some sort of alleyway that reminds me a lot of kind of that Mexican Day of the Dead theme. From what we've seen so far with the look of the levels, it does look like Toys for Bob are striking that balance perfectly. Now another thing we've seen which seems to have a fairly good balance so far, but this is going to be something that we have to wait and see on, is characters. We've seen Crash, we've seen Coco, we've seen Engine, we've seen Cortex. And from what we've seen, they seem to be striking a good balance there as well. The characters are familiar with a new fresh coat of paint that looks really good. They all seem to have their familiar tropes, they all look like the characters they're supposed to be, but maybe we'll start to see other characters pop up with slight tweaks and additions, seeing as they have the ability to play with different dimensions. It seems like we're going to be getting a character like Torna, who we're all pretty familiar with, but with a slight twist of her being a pirate this time. So again, having that old with that new. Other things that seem to have a good balance so far is the fact we're getting Cortex levels. Yes, we saw Cortex playable in previous games, but they're bringing in a new aspect to that with the way that the gameplay works. The same goes for the story. We're getting that old so it continues straight from Crash Bandicoot 3, but it's going off in a new direction. Now of course, they don't have to find this perfect balance with everything in the game. It doesn't have to be a mixture of old with new. They can lean heavily into one more than the other. We could see completely brand new things that maybe don't feel like Crash Bandicoot, but after you've played Crash Bandicoot 4, you might be like, this new feature that they added in here, I don't know how they could do a Crash Bandicoot game without including that again. And the same goes with the old. You could see sections of the game that lean really heavily into the old to kind of remind you of the originals to get that nostalgia going, but then again hopefully bring it back to that kind of balance in between. So there you have it. That is what I wanted to talk about in this video. Again, it's not really any theorizing, it's not any speculation, it's just what I feel like this Crash Bandicoot game needs to do in order to sort of please fans of the original games, but also bring something new to the table. get new people in, or get those people who played the originals feeling like this is a worthwhile addition to the Crash franchise and isn't just sort of a money grab, isn't just a repeat of Crash 1, 2 and 3, and really brings something to the table. Again, from what we've seen with the reveal trailer and the gameplay that's been released, it does seem like Toys for Bob are striking that balance between the old and the new very well. And of course, we won't really be able to tell until we play this game on October 2nd, but I have a lot of faith. So I'd love to know in the comments below, do you think Toys for Bob need to find this perfect balance between old and new? Or are you someone who'd like it to lean more heavily into the old games? Or maybe you want it to lean heavily into the new? Let me know in the comments below, let's start a discussion up. Also, let me know if you like this kind of video. It's not really a theory video or a speculation video. I'm not entirely sure what you'd call it. I had just been kind of thinking about what this game needs to do in order to succeed, and I thought I'd make a video on it. If you did enjoy it, then also click that like button to show your support. It lets me know that you do want to see more of these, and it actually helps this video get out to more people. It helps push it up the YouTube analytics. Like at the beginning of the video, if you're not already, subscribe. You'll be able to stay up to date with all my content. I know I throw that screen up about the percentage of people watching from time to time, but it actually works. When I put that up, more people subscribe, because I know a lot of people just watch content and they kind of forget. Also, if you'd like to stay up to date with me and what's going on with the channel, or just chat with me, you can follow me over on Twitter at @IamMisterBo, or you can go ahead and join our Discord server. It's a nice friendly community, chill place to hang out, and it'd be awesome to see you over there. Apart from all of that though, thank you very much for watching and for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. Again, thank you for 25,000 subscribers. Thank you to everyone who has supported the channel over the last couple of years. But as always, take care. Bye bye.